day, everyone. I'm Jenna Rufo, the Director of Special Education and Student Services here at North Penn, and today we're talking about inclusion in all of the buildings. And inclusion is really both a practice and a philosophy, and it's built on the belief that all students, regardless of a disability, their backgrounds, or upbringing, can be successful with good instruction and the proper supports. So when we're including students with disabilities in our classrooms, it's about not assigning our own value judgments to whether they can or can't do something, but presuming their competence and setting the expectations high for them. So while inclusion stems from federal law, the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, which states that we have to educate students with disabilities in the least restrictive environment, or LRE, if we're doing something because it's a law or because we have to, we're really missing an opportunity for us not just to improve the services for our students with disabilities, but for all of our students. So we really need to look at this in a broader context about how can we blend our resources between regular education and special education to meet the needs of all of our learners. A lot of times I will get the question, what does inclusion look like? Or what's the North Penn model? And that's hard to answer because, to me, inclusion looks like school. It's not knowing who's the regular ed teacher and who's the special ed teacher, or my students or your students. It's our students.
The reason why I think we're successful is because from the beginning we've always agreed on student goals. We want them to do well. We have certain things, and we both have the same expectations. We agree philosophically on educational ideas, fair testing, fair instruction, free chances. Again, whatever it takes to get them to perform well, meaning a high rate of rigor. And we're pretty much in agreement on those things.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's part of the story, common educational philosophies. But I think the strongest thing is our relationship. I think the whole co-teaching model, really the foundation is on personal relationships with the two teachers. So the first year was interesting, learning to share responsibilities with another teacher. But this is our fourth year, and I think that is the key. Once that relationship is established, the relationship then gets to grow. And we're at the point now where we can almost finish each other's sentences during the lesson. So I think that's the key, the fact that this is now our fourth year. And I think the kids are reaping the rewards of that. I think our lessons have been more rigorous, and we actually demand, I think, much more of our students today than we did 4 years ago. And for me, before I started co-teaching 5 years ago, I think we've definitely raised the rigor rate. And I think that is directly related to the fact that you and I work pretty well together, and together we've been able to raise the rigor. As a result of co-teaching, the idea was floated many years ago that in order to raise the rigor rate, we believe there should be one standardized test that is given, specifically I'm referring to the midterm, to all students that would model the idea of the Keystone exam, where there is one student given to all the students across the state of Pennsylvania. So I was a little hesitant at first, but as our relationship grew and as our rigor rate increased, we were able to actually watch kids rise to that challenge. And it is a struggle, but it's a good struggle, because we don't want the kids to be challenged for the very first time when they're at the Keystone exam. So the whole idea of co-teaching and raising the rigor, and in the science department only having one midterm given to all students, and it's the same midterm, I think has allowed our kids to raise the bar, and it allowed me to raise the bar as far as my teaching is concerned.
As a special ed teacher, I'm excited to see kids with IEPs, with special learning needs, doing mainstream work, being successful, having the supports, and feeling confident in the classroom, doing the difficult work.
We included several special needs students this year. In the play itself, they were included in the cast with all the other students. They were both ninth graders, so we really wanted them to both have a significant part. So they were on stage, they were on songs. Neither had an actual speaking part, but that's not unusual. So they were included in pretty much all aspects of the play.
We worked together with case managers and the directors and were able to secure assistant support within our building to consistently come to play practice. And then we also were able to have the case managers come a few times to kind of see how things were going, to consult with the directors, making sure that everybody was on the same page and that they were included to their fullest extent. And I think from the special ed standpoint, that seeing the general ed students stand up and take a leadership role and the empathy that they show, and now just seeing them around the hallways saying hi to her, that she's definitely made strong friendships as being a part of the program. I think as a special ed teacher, I teach life skills support, and it's definitely taught me to develop stronger relationships with the families and being able to communicate the opportunities that we have here and how we can make that best work so that their students have the same middle school experience that anybody else would have available.
I didn't know how to feel at first, and I was certainly concerned. Chorus class is kind of unique here at the high school, and it's very much based on students' ability and willingness to participate verbally through what they are speaking. We do a lot of foreign language pieces, and in particular, obviously, the sound that they're making musically. And I didn't know how to react when I heard that we were going to have nonverbal students participating with this class. I knew it would be a challenge to plan for. It was very clear after having her for a short time in class last year that Nayeli was particularly inclined to want to sing, though she was limited in her ability to do so. Her reactions were dramatic and big in chorus class, so we started to plan around how we might be able to include her in our spring concert. We figured out a way where in one of our pieces we had her playing, it was actually a bamboo pole. We did a piece that was from Indonesia, and it involved, it was a very tribal thing with playing a bamboo pole. So what we did was we had a student stand with her, holding the pole, helping to assist her, and play it rhythmically so that it still matched the music, but that she was very much involved in the process, and you could tell that she knew she was involved in that process. We've also been able to use, both in the classroom and in the concert last year, some of the audio switches that the MDS students have been sort of trained to use to say certain things, express certain things, give yes or no answers. What we did at the concert for Nayeli was we introduced a couple of the pieces, and we had the text of the piece pre-recorded, and with me assisting her, Nayeli triggered what the words of that piece were going to be to the audience so they could hear it, but she was the one who was presenting it. Additionally, we've had students in class be able to greet the rest of the class. Even though they can't actually say hello, they have a pre-recorded message that they're able to then hit their switch, and then they can greet the class, and the class greets them back. For me personally, this has been, it's been challenging, it's been rewarding, in particular because, I entered this field very much of the mindset that any student, no matter, who they were or what their limitations were, there's a way in musically. Everyone has their own ability to experience it. With some students, students who are deaf, there's plenty of studies regarding what they can do as far as sensing vibrations and feeling music in a different way than we can perceive it. This, though, believing it and actually trying to do it are two different things. And for me, I've certainly had to try to make sure that they're getting the music education that they deserve the same way that every other student is getting the music education that they deserve.
When we were growing up and going to school, the special ed kids were segregated and moved to a different part of the school. And they never got to meet us, and we never got to meet them. We didn't interact too much, and I think everyone lost out in that situation. So when Lauren was going to start school, we wanted to try to do it differently, and we wanted her to be involved in all of the school and get to know all the kids and have them know her as well. Secondly, once she's done with school, she's going to be living in society among everybody. And we were always thought, why segregate her from society through school? That didn't make sense to us. So what made sense was to include her in the whole school. Just like when she's an adult, she'll be out in the community being a productive member of society.
With Lauren, we have seen some wonderful improvements. Her level of confidence has just she's blossomed in her comfort with her peers. Her speech has blossomed, and with that, it makes her more comfortable to talk with her peers. And just how she carries herself. You know, we can see that when I go to the school, I can see how she carries herself in the hallway. So it's been a beautiful thing. We have been so lucky to work with an exceptional team of educators, both from the general education standpoint and the special education standpoint, with a team approach for special education and general education working together, the paraprofessional coming in, speech, OT, and physical therapists coming together to talk about challenges, because there are challenges.
Before Lauren started school, Linda and I created a vision statement that we had for Lauren, and it included both short-term and long-term goals that we had for her. And some of those short-term goals have already been accomplished thanks to the inclusion at North Penn and at Walton Farm. Some of those short-term goals were socialization with her peers, having friends, going to their birthday parties, inviting kids over to our house, having Lauren just being known throughout the school, just like any of the other kids were. And through this inclusion, you know, a lot of those short-term goals have definitely been met. Some of the longer-term goals are go to high school, go to the prom with a boyfriend, graduate, eventually be a productive member of society, hopefully get married. But the key is none of those long-term goals can happen without everything that's happening short-term today. So what's happening today with all of the teachers and the team that Linda talked about is instrumental in getting us and Lauren to these long-term goals that we see for her.